Thank you very much, Gabby. Here we are. I am Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns. I am joined by Mr. Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley, and it's time for yet another installation of Monday Night League.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not going to want to miss the draft because both the win conditions are purely based on draft. The game's about to be decided right here.
I mean, Mark had at least 2 different people that he named in the draft. Probably's just saying don't int it. So let's see how it plays out. We are into that ever so important champion select. FlyQuest is going to keep Soraka out of the top lane. They'll keep Senna away as well. 100 Thieves banning out the Rumble and that Yuumi that we've seen have quite a lot of success so far this week.
Yeah, it's honestly been really this power pick that just kind of popped up, clearly gaining a lot of popularity very quickly. One thing I'm really interested to see for Ignar talking about the draft is, are we going to get another unique pick? He's 7 for 7 on different support champions throughout this split. And I think that is really cool because we have been seeing most of the players kind of stick to tried and true, not expanding as much. And this is a guy who can get you a bot lane 2v2 advantage with his flexibility.
The power of the man who played Fervor Leona back in the day. Let's see if he can invoke that again here now. Riven, the final ban from 100 Thieves, and the first lock-in from FlyQuest is Aphelios.
Yeah, the Riven ban getting a bit of a smile there from Viper before he did lock in the Aphelios, so that's going to be taken away. Probably wants to see Viper on a tank because of how damn well Someday is playing. And it's looking like it's going to be an Aatrox. They want to just grab an early power pick here, deny that from Viper. This is a pick if you're feeling like, hey, the other guy has just got to play for safety, play for farm. Aatrox is a really strong champion to go with. Most people are pretty happy to play it into almost every viable top lane matchup. It's very safe as a blind pick in general, unless people are really willing to go for the risky picks, things like Fiora, that not a lot of teams are willing to play around. So 100 Thieves kind of throwing down the gauntlet. They are red side, but they're saying, hey, counter pick me if you dare.
There you go. I enjoy the confidence. Rakan will be the other pick here in the first phase. 400 Thieves getting some engage power there in the support position. They already know their opponents have drafted an AD carry, so they don't feel too pressured to pick one up in that first rotation. FlyQuest thinking on the support here for a moment, hovering over Alistar for a long time, but I'm not surprised to see the Ornn locked in. There's that tank pick, easily the premier tank in League of Legends right now. They want to get that picked up before the second phase of the bans comes through.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best top lane tank, and it's not even really close, to be honest with you. This guy is very stable. He has the ability, especially if you're going Spellbook with Ignite, to, if someone makes a mistake, actually take over a lane, dominate that lane at times. At worst of times, he can go even. Everyone knows about those upgradable Ornn items. Very strong. Gives you the additional scaling. We have been seeing more and more games go late, where that is almost always going to play a part. And his engage, incredibly reliable here. But it does mean they are giving over the Xayah Rakan, very likely 200 Thieves. Another thing that Mark called out, and they talked about, the popularity of these picks and that it is rising very heavily. It gives more agency down to your bot lane. And it's also really kind of guaranteed engage when you do have this Rakan. It's so explosive, it's so quick. Ornn is strong engage, but it can be sidestepped, it can be dodged out of. Rakan, flash, alt W, these types of things are very difficult to stop, and it's going to allow 100 Thieves to pick and choose where they fight.
One important thing is because the Rakan was already locked in, FlyQuest knew they wouldn't be going up against a Braum shield to shut that ulti down in the team fights when they picked it. They'll also go with a Thresh as the last pick of their first half of the draft, so we've got matching top lane and bottom lane picks from both sides, and the jungle is getting hit hard here in the second phase of the bans. Lee Sin, Olaf taken out by 100 Thieves. FlyQuest will remove Gragas from the available pool. They've got one ban left to go. We could see it go to the mid lane this time, and yes, it will be keeping LeBlanc away from Ryoma.
Yeah, very interesting. It does feel like with the double physical jungle ban, they want to keep Santorin, off of those picks, perhaps force him onto something like an AP jungler, or maybe they're feeling like the damage profile could get messed up a little bit from that. They are going to be going Sejuani as the pick, so if there is an AD option that Santorin will be looking towards, there's things like J4, there's Rek'Sai still available. He could also go for something along the lines of Trundle. I think it would be actually pretty great here. When you are going up against that Sejuani, it gives you a very easy target to ultimate, especially if they're playing Aftershock with Permafrost Pass. pretty spot on.
Yeah.
This is what Mark actually wanted, for Ryoma, was this exact pick. He didn't get the someday counter pick, as he was hoping for there. But things going pretty expected, and I've got to say, it does not feel like FlyQuest entered the draft.
No, FlyQuest ended up with two of the most powerful picks in the current game in Ornn and Aphelios. They ended up with a jungle counter pick in Trundle going into Sejuani. They put Power of Evil on a champion that's very much in line with the way we usually see Power of Evil like to play League of Legends. It seems like it makes sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. I think Syndra can match up pretty well into the Zoe there too. There is the ability, if you do get ahead, to threaten kind of that lethal combo over onto Ryoma. But Ryoma has been solid on the Zoe. For him, it's been less about lane dominance and more about finding good angles for poke in the later stages of the game, while he's kind of giving over a lot of the farm throughout the mid game to his teammates. I do think for 100 Thieves, though, you're feeling pretty happy overall there too. Aatrox for Someday, always going to be a valuable pick come team fight time. Someday has been performing really well overall, though his laning stats have not been good. And you do have Cody-san on the late game insurance, right? This is a guy who's always been incredible at team fighting, who's been great in those late game stages. So Zyra Khan for Cody-san and Stunt could spell good things for 100 Thieves.
Top lane's going to be fun to watch too, because you've got one of the most iconic names in Someday going up against Viper, who, for those who weren't familiar with him back in the day when he was climbing up through the ranks, was a Riven 1 trick, has since donned the mantle of many champions, made it into professional play. And so now it's kind of fun because you get to say, all right, here's a guy who's known for carry performances. This game, the team has said, we need you to be a role player. Your job is to be Ornn, sit under the turret, eat some Aatrox Qs, and farm up, sound the horn when the team fights come. I want to see if he can get big value ultimates, because the difference between an Ornn that farms up okay, and yeah, he's really tanky, and an Ornn that wins you the game is the guy who finds those ultis that knock up so many different people at once. There's nothing on the side of 100 Thieves to negate his ability to do that. No wind walls, no Braum shields. I want to see those hit home.
Yeah, just going to be about the avoidance. It's going to be about Xayah timing the ultimate well. Rakan utilizing shield to jump out of the way. It's going to be more about their dodging of the skill shot. But I agree. I do think it's a game that Ornn can be very, very successful. Ornn is totally a strong matchup into the Aatrox. You don't have to worry about that. And we could see a very successful game for Viper.
Looking at the keystones here as we load in, you've got Aftershock for the Thresh, you got Guardian on Rakan. Press the attack of Aphelios. Mid lane, it's Syndra running a phase rush for the extra movement speed bonus, not any extra damage, particularly going to be coming out of that one. And that spellbook top for Ornn that is pretty standard these days, giving him the power to, like you said, swap in things like an Ignite or a Barrier when when Teleport is on cooldown to make it so he's much more effective in combat.
Yeah, and especially, in conjunction with your jungler, if you do have Ignite, that all of a sudden can give you a lot more kill threat, reducing the healing from Aatrox, these champions that can have a tremendous amount of self-healing. Having that negation from the Ignite does matter a tremendous amount. It's also worth noting, Power of Evil coming off his Syndra performance yesterday, 8-2-8 versus TSM, was a key member in getting them their win yesterday. So looking for back-to-back big Syndra performances here.
Love to see it, and let's see how the teams are going to get things started as it's red buff beginning for each side here. Santorin will go straight from his red over towards his blue. Meteo's going to take the extra time to clear out the Krugs. Sejuani does have an easier time dealing with multiple target camps than Trundle does, but Santorin has made his way towards mid lane here. It's level 2, however, the stun not connecting from PoE means Santorin won't get anything there.
I think that was pretty poorly done, honestly, by FlyQuest. It felt like there was a little bit of hesitation. Santorin came over. He wanted PoE to be level 2, but why not use the pillar to set up for the skill shot?
Yeah.
The pillar with the slow there allows for such an easy scatter of the weak, where you're very likely going to be forcing out a summoner or something to actually dodge that, or it's going to land. So I would have liked to see PoE hold on to that, allow the pillar to come down for the slow, and then try to connect with that scatter.
Well, one person that's not disappointed with the less than fantastic execution there is definitely Ryoma, hanging out still here in the mid lane. Didn't have to even pop a potion charge on it, as Meteos full clears his top side of the jungle, and now we'll finally see him heading towards that blue buff.
Yeah, something else worth noting is that a lot of Sejuani players do actually like to go Fleet Footwork instead of Aftershock, specifically when they are against the Trundle. Because of how this rune can really work against you come teamfight time, it is not by any means like a terrible choice or anything like that. It's just the trade-off, right? You get a little less tanky when you are in these skirmishes when Trundle's not there or Trundle doesn't have the ultimate. But come teamfight time, you proc Aftershock, you have your passive, you're stealing resistances based on that current amount of armor and MR that you have.
It's snapshotted.
Exactly. So, that can be really, really punishing for the Sejuani, and we'll see how well Santorin's going to be able to time that and if it comes back to bite Meteos a little bit.
One thing I also should point out, Power of Evil is running with the cleanse this game on the Syndra. Almost mandatory when you have an enemy jungler like a Sejuani that does have the ability to show up and pretty much guarantee your death with a successful CC hit. Let's see if Santorin can make anything happen down here on the bottom half of the map. It doesn't look like it.
And we all know how punishing Zoe can be, right? You know, in mid-game, one sleep lands on you, and sometimes you just die, right? It feels like you can be dodging everything the entire game. Cleanse is going to take away the potential of that, as long as you have that summoner available. Sure, maybe you lose it, but potentially save your life.
Some days going to get very familiar with the view that he's experienced right now, having that lane completely shoved up, doing what he wants. But bottom side, it's going to turn into a 3 versus 2 now as Santorin makes his way into the fight. 100 Thieves winning it early, but Stunt gets taken very low. Santorin's presence there got FlyQuest out of a tough spot.
Good flash engage from Ignar, though. You know, he went forward with that flash flay. They do get both the flashes off Cody-san and Stunt. Yes, it costs both the summoners there from Ignar, but potential for a regank is pretty high. Ignar also going to have to be cognizant of that. Will need to play a little bit more defensively, perhaps acting like a little bit of a lantern bot for Turtle, who does have the summoners, because you can go for that Thresh. The combat summoners are still up and available for Stunt, right? He still has that ignite, and if Meteos comes in and you're a flashless Thresh who's pushed up, you're going to be toast.
Cody-san will farm up this wave underneath the turret. It did also afford Turtle and Ignar the opportunity to go back to base, shop with the CS lead that they had, really use the state of the lane to their advantage. You can see Turtle going to go ahead, go for the full Berserker's Greaves. It'll help him get the movement speed he needs to avoid not only engages from Stunt, but also Meteos should he come to gank. So we'll see how well that pays off for him.
It also kind of signifies, you know, that he just wants to look for the push. Attack speed very valuable in that regard. This is something that is really well known as a strategy. Reckless loves to do this. He's almost constantly going for it, but a good hook. Lantern comes in.
Ignar making moves yet again, setting things up, but 100 Thieves are here on the counterattack. Power of Evil getting away, needs one more stack before that Sejuani stun would be ready and manages to avoid it.
Yeah, he's going to get out of there. Cost Someday his TP, so Someday pretty eager to try to get involved in the action. Wanted to get a lane, they're going back in.
Ignar time and time again with these hooks. Well done from FlyQuest. Looking to get the last bit of damage. Viper's looking for it, but Meteos will barely survive.
Meteos just barely getting out of there. That was so close. Looked like he was going to go down for sure. Pretty back and forth trade. It does cost Meteos his flash. It was a couple great hooks from Ignar, but Santorin did trade his flash, and you know, that was a lot used on both sides. I believe both top laners expended teleport. Was the ultimate down now for Viper, so I was going to kind of talk about how TP advantage was going over to the other side, but Ornn TPing right back. FlyQuest, though, did come out on top as far as the health was concerned, and they will meet, and they're going to grab the early Infernal.
I'd like to get that on the board here nice and quick. Infernal number 1, it's going to be Ocean number 2, means we'll get either a Cloud or Mountain Rift after that second Drake is taken. But as we've talked about 100 times before, as Ryoma nearly gets taken down to 0 here in the mid lane, the Drakes by themselves are not nearly as impactful as they were last season, so that 4% damage boost isn't going to mean the end of the world for 100 Thieves. You're not super worried about it.
Yeah.
They are up 400 gold at least, just from the advantages they found themselves in farm, the biggest of which you can see right now in the top lane, 20 CS lead for Someday's Atron.
Yeah, that's pretty huge, and it makes me wonder what the lane state was like when Viper actually TP'd away. Because Someday, I do believe, was TPing back from base, so perhaps Viper was actually TPing away from a pushing wave, meaning his minions actually kill off more of his opponents and put him down in farm. Because Viper is very far behind, and this should be much more of, you know, maybe Aatrox gets a little bit of an advantage, but it should be a pretty damn even lane.
Yeah, you could see he went for a little bit of a trade there as Someday went after him with the chains, but once that Q3 lands, you really don't outtrade Aatrox pretty much ever. Bottom side, another play is going to be made. Now Aphelios ulti dodged away by Cody-san. Stunt will fall here, and that is first blood to FlyQuest.
Yep, going to be able to knock down Stunt. Had no summoner available to flash out. Does get punished. Would have liked to see them give that to Turtle. Felt like a pretty guaranteed kill. Santorin's going to chomp on down and grab that for himself. Proto Belt pickup, always pretty nice there for the Zoe, as it does give you a really easy push on one wave.
Goes for the bubble, but makes the prediction wrong, guessing if he's going to juke to either side. Let's take another look at the play here bottom.
Yeah, hey, this is one more time. You know, note that there is the ultimate for Cody-san, but Ignar does not have his ultimate, does not have his flash. They play him in, they root him up, and He's just not able to get out of there. Wasn't really much he could do. Just a really well executed gank.
That was 110% givable to Wild Turtle.
Yeah, like, I think so too.
After watching it again, he's right there. Turtle has the sniper rifle of all things, so that's fine. Santorin wants a little bit of extra money in the pocket for the Trundle. Let's see what he does with it, as he will now be the first one to make his way towards the pit as 100 Thieves are going after the Rift Herald. Stunt tries to buy a little bit of time. Santorin on the front line. Ornhorn goes through and it finds 3. That could be exactly what they're looking for. Viper gets the kill onto Stunt, and the Rift Herald is secured by FlyQuest. TY for Leash in the all chat. That is exactly what FlyQuest is looking for.
Yeah, Stunt dying in the bot lane. Runs up to help his team with the Rift Herald. Gets sussed out and gonna die in that bot lane too. And they're just gonna drop the Rift immediately here around mid lane. I do like this. Ryoma wants to have this kind of bastion of safety that is this tier 1 turret, but it's going to get really low already, and that was actually quite a bit of more gold going in the pocket of Santorin, who thankfully, with that kill on the bot side, has at least made some sort of a payoff there and was able to have Cinderhulk for that fight around Rift, whereas his opponent was just sitting on the Challenging Smite plus a Ruby Crystal, so getting something from it. So here's his one more time. This is just, I think 100 Thieves more hoping that the top lane priority they had would result in a pretty easy kill, that FlyQuest wouldn't be in position to challenge for it. But this has become such a textbook play that you have to be confident not only in your ability to start it, but your ability to win the team fight that is inevitably going to break out around it. Because it is so rare these days, unless your team is just absolutely dominating the early lanes, that you see a completely uncontested or a snuck Rift Herald. Like, everyone does this at 10 minutes.
It's not the Season 9 clutch gaming strategy where it's Rift Herald at 11 every single game, no matter what, but nobody else has this similar plan. This is the meta. This is how teams want to play.
This is the plan. This is everyone's plan.
Yeah, it literally just comes with an instruction manual to play League of Legends. Forget early Drakes, get the Rift Herald instead, transition to Drakes later. It's what all the teams have adopted. And Power of Evil has the blue buff. Ryoma the same here in the mid lane, just shoving these waves out. Power of Evil, slightly more farm than his opponent, but it is just ever so slight as Meteos tries to steal this chicken camp away. He is behind Santorin. Santorin with kill and assist so far on the side of FlyQuest. Meteos, nothing on the board here just yet with this Sejuani. But remember, Sejuani, not exactly a champion that's going to fall off if you don't make something happen early on. He'll be just fine as the game progresses. But he will have to watch out. Santorin ulting him in that Rift Herald fight was pretty big for FlyQuest getting the win like they did.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's a huge swing in terms of power of frontline, right? Because all of a sudden, Trundle can just go frontline versus frontline. You can have a Felios just hitting that Sejuani where normally you would be so incredibly tanky. You get ulted up, Trundle becomes incredibly tanky, applies, press the attack for the bonus damage amp for your teammates, and you're able to really get a lot done there.
Nice damage coming out from Power of Evil there mid lane, using the ulti once again just to gain lane control and force Ryoma to be aware of the fact that Ignar and Santorin could potentially make this dive happen. Ryoma will not be able to secure lane priority, but Meteos has once again found his way into a fight he does not want. Ignar there on the front line right next to Santorin, but it's going to be Stunt, who's in some trouble. Barely walking away now. Ornn ulti not going to get much of anything. Somehow, Stunt has survived, and FlyQuest will not get their kill.
Yeah, Stunt does get out, but again, that's a pretty expensive fight for them. They're going to lose the Dragon. They lost Flash off Meteos. They lost TP and Flash off of Someday. So they're getting bullied out. Just a good setup, honestly, by Santorin and Ignar. They were looking for a potential mid lane dive.
Oh, that was close. Flash
Really
for both
close.
mid laners there as Power of Evil nearly finishes off Ryoma. That's 2 Drakes now for FlyQuest. Mountain Soul spawning this game. And remember, the bonus that you get from stacking Mountain Drakes is increased armor and MR, which is very nice for the big tanks on both of these teams.
Yeah, and it's going to be even better, I think, for FlyQuest when you consider there's 3 people that are probably going to be stacking quite a bit of resistances. The Thresh, the Trundle, and especially the Ornn, who you really think is going to have a lot of that. We'll be pretty happy about that spawn.
And one thing that's interesting, part of the conversation that I like about tank itemization is, yes, you have split damage on the side of 100 Thieves right now, but pretty much the only meaningful AP damage you'll be taking is Ryoma's Zoe. So you can see Viper's just like, well, I'm laning against an AD champion. The big threats are mostly going to be AD in terms of DPS. If I get enough health, which remember the upgraded Sunfire keeps is 750, Zoe's never going to kill you anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? If you don't have a consistent DPS frontline killer type of mage. You know, if you don't have like a Cassio or an Ori who's going to be able to do a lot of consistent damage to those tanks, you can get away with just stacking armor and building health. Things like Warmogs become incredibly effective. You know, you can just build up something like that and have that player step forward and intentionally tank a lot of the poke coming out from Zoe.
And we often will see the Orns go for an Abyssal Mask second. It does a great job at amplifying him and his allies' damage, as well as being a huge bonus in terms of the cost effectiveness of the upgrade. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that come out, but I expect some armor stacking continuing as the game goes on.
Yeah, overall it's going to be mostly armor, you would think for sure. The Abyssal is a ridiculously efficient upgrade as they're going to look for a dive here.
Here it goes. Someday and Meteos going in together, but Viper is buying as much time as he can. Very well played from Viper. He's got one and waves goodbye to the other. Someday coming back yet again, but the horn has been sounded and Viper has outplayed 1v2.
Yeah, he slammed them. I'm not really sure why they thought that would be such an easy dive to go for. It's 2v1, yeah, but that is a full HP Ornn under his own turret. Gets the easy double knockup, and like you said, just straight up outplayed them.
Very well done from Viper. That was one of the question marks on the analyst test. They're saying Viper is hit and miss, but when he's on, he is on. And when he's on, he is Ornn. And this guy popped off in that dive.
I mean, he's down 40 CS, but he did pick up a kill by that Rift fight and grab another here. Now another fight on the bot side.
Bottom side, Stun could be the target again. Ignar in some trouble, but goodness, that is a nice stopwatch coming out to keep him alive. FlyQuest, they get a little overeager to make the play on bottom side here again. They almost lose their support, but it will buy them the opportunity to take out this tier 1 turret. That will be the second turret of the game destroyed now, the second that they have claimed, and 100 Thieves will not find any sort of a response.
Yeah, extending that gold lead further. 3 kills to none, 2 dragons to none, 2 towers to none. FlyQuest has been running the game. 100 Thieves still in it, and largely in part to some good farming. You know, their main advantage is kind of on that top side, though, with the kill gold going over to Viper. It's not going to mean too much, and here we have this one more time. Looking for the dive. This is a full HP Ornn, though, and he bides his time. He does the Searing Charge on the turret, gets the knockup on both members right around him, flashes over, applying that brittle with his W for the big clap, and then the ulti is there and pushes Someday away. Very well played by Viper. But that was a risky dive, you know. Ornn is so damn tanky. If you cannot execute that perfectly, it's going to be tough to take him down. And I feel like even if you kill him off, maybe you still lose your life in the process because Meteos didn't have his flash. So if you actually use your Q knockup to go in, it's going to be very difficult to get out.
And you can see they had Meteos tanking, he had the Aftershock, he had the Glacial Armor, all of that, but just wasn't enough still. And FlyQuest will now claim their second Rift Herald of the game. First one was used to grab them those plates on the mid lane turret that gave them that boost of gold. We're after the 14-minute mark now, so plates are no longer an option, but they only have one tier 1 turret left to take. So far, they have been in control of the state of the map a little bit. You can see some wards from both sides around the river, specifically in this top lane, likely because the Thieves know that's the last remaining tier 1 that FlyQuest wants to take, and they probably just want to go up there and knock it over soon.
Yeah, I think they would definitely love to do that. We also may see them go down towards the bot side. Dragon is going to be spawning here for FlyQuest, so I think you want to keep stacking as much as you can, you know, 15 or so seconds. So they need to be moving in together. If they're not going to be keeping down Viper, he needs to be making that rotation because he is pretty late on this play, right? And he's actually sitting back on his tower, so it looks like they're going to go for the TP.
Meteos just used his ulti to try to make a pick onto Santorin, but he missed. That is a big cooldown not available for 100 Thieves. They have priority over the river, but without that ready now, this is all of a sudden much sketchier than it was. Meteos is going to be locked up, nearly bursted out, and the damage continues to come through onto Stun, who is just alone, buying as much time as humanly possible, down below half HP. Thieves are in full retreat. Meteos down to 200 health, in no condition to contest this, and 100 Thieves just not making the right moves here.
Honestly, a great move, though, by that 3-man squad from FlyQuest to be able to kind of hold their ground. Was essentially a 5v3, and Santorin, Power of Evil, and Ignar were the members there. Viper was very late to move down. He did expend the teleport, and Wild Turtle was in bot lane. So despite the fact that FlyQuest wasn't actually set up in the Dragon, they had priority, but they are able to find Meteos, push him out, force that summoner, and as a result, third straight Dragon goes their way.
That'll be a 23-minute soul point here for FlyQuest if 100 Thieves is not able to find their footing in this next 5 minutes of this game. Things are starting to get more and more dire for this squad. 2,500 gold behind. Fortunately, Viper is still only level 11, so the Ornn items have not been crafted yet. Remember, when Ornn is in the game, the gold difference can be very deceptive because of the amount of value and pure stats that he adds to his team. Taking a look at the items, it's pretty similar for the AD carries. You just got the Berserker's Greaves and the Essence Reaver in terms of fully completed items. It is Zeal versus Dagger for the backups there. A little bit more money onto Wild Turtle. Mid lane, Luden's Echo done for both. We've been seeing more of the Hextech GLP lately, but the extra burst of the Echo was just what the players wanted to go for this time around. It's all about the damage.
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, especially on Zoe, I think you're almost always going to see that. But on Syndra, you know, in conjunction with Phase Rush, we've been seeing a lot of the Hextech GLP. We've been seeing that on Orianna there too. People really starting to like the utility of it. Speed yourself up, slow them down, easier skill shots to land. But, you know, having the flat spell pen and this Luden's does give you an easier time at reaching that kind of lethal 100-0 type combo that Syndra is going to be looking for on champions on the other side. You know, champions like the Xayah, like the Zoe, and even the Rakan, who, if you fall behind, they can just burst you anytime you dive in.
We've seen him just either die instantly or get taken down to almost dead every single fight. And the problem is, on the opposite side, nice escape, man. That was just barely out of the range of the stun. Stunt now potentially in some trouble. Dashing away to Cody Stun, staying alive, but the knockup comes through. Ryoma exhausted. 100 Thieves continuing to fall back. Santorin goes to sleep, but the follow-up won't be there. The Thieves try to make a play. FlyQuest tries to make a counter move. Neither one works out, but the whole time it's Turtle taking a tier 2 turret there on the top side. Sunday with a dash over the wall. Turtle might be trying to stay alive here, but I don't know how well it's going to work. Santorin with the flash over the wall, looking to keep his allies safe, and Wild Turtle will walk away. Santorin now the target. The sacrificial lamb. Play the sad music. Santorin will die so that Turtle may live.
Yeah, Santorin going to be dying for the sins of Wild Turtle there. Had to go up and save the bot laner. A valiant effort does go down. 100 Thieves making a nice move to get that pick, but Turtle honestly did overstay and put himself in danger. And that mid lane play was honestly pretty cool. That was actually Meteos anticipating the flash, it looked like, of Power People. He threw the ultimate where he would flash, but it looked like it was just barely out of range, so he only got the slow and not the stun. But pretty slick play from Meteos, and very close to being really cool. As I take another look. Oh, no, it's going to be the top side. Okay. So this is Turtle just overstaying. He honestly wanted to push it out. He wanted to be able to grab that tower, get all the additional gold for himself. Santorin does flash up to try to assist him, but with everyone from 100 Thieves getting here faster, only reason you're dropping that stopwatch is because Ignar is almost here, and you're praying that Thresh can get in range for the Miracle Lantern and get you out. At least it wasn't just both of them dying, though, but it does cost Santorin his flash and his life, as well as Turtle his flash to get him out.
Speaking of stopwatches, worth pointing out, Ignar has completed the Gargoyle's Stone Plate now. This is the single most powerful item on tanky supports right now in League of Legends. Literally everyone that is not an enchanter is rushing this thing these days. Provides an incredible amount of durability in the fights. You can see Stunt not going for that, instead taking a different approach so that Rakan will continue to be squishy. But if Ignar sees the opportunity to land a hook and go in, blowing him up as a counterattack is not going to be nearly as easy for Thieves as it is for FlyQuest to do that to Stunt.
Yeah, it becomes incredibly difficult, and it is super popular because it's a very low-risk item. You know, you just press the button, you're pretty much always going to get value. It's very easy, whereas, you know, Knight's Vow, Zeke's, those are kind of the other options that we sometimes see these guys go for, and it's giving up your own tankiness with the hope that your marksman player is going to get a lot more out of that. You know, the assist is going to kind of make up for your lack of tankiness.
Another big team fight item has come through. Turtle with the completed Runaan's Hurricane means the next fight, that item has so much synergy with Aphelios because of the fact that all the guns have some sort of an on-hit effect that then gets duplicated. Also worth noting, Meteos is working on the ingredients for the Warmogs, but with the usual setup for Sejuani players with runes and masteries, you need to be level 12 for a Cinder Hulk and a Warmogs to give you the Warmogs passive healing. He is only level 10, and Drake is spawning in 15 seconds. So Meteos and the rest of 100 Thieves now have a very difficult task ahead of them. FlyQuest have control over this bottom half of the river. They have control over the Drake pit, and we'll see if they can secure themselves this Earth Soul this early into the game. Meteos has been caught, and he is out of there. That is the Drake going over to the side of FlyQuest. Ignar, time and time again this game, the hooks are making the plays happen.
Yeah, he has been on point, and honestly, this is how the last one probably should have looked too. FlyQuest has been in the advantage the entire game, This time they are to the dragon faster. They are set up well in advance of it spawning. And as a result, they are rewarded with a pick and a very early soul with a team comp that scales incredibly well. They have answers for the front line. They have the Ornn upgrades coming through. And they have a 23-minute soul, so it really feels like now for FlyQuest, the question is how quickly, how cleanly can you close this game? Because you should not be losing from here.
Right, and this is a team that, remember, already beat TSM earlier this week when the TSM hype train was just starting to leave the station. People were saying, oh, this is the second best team behind Cloud9. This is a team that's really coming together now. The first couple of weeks were rough, but then FlyQuest beat them. Yes, it was a battle to beat them, but FlyQuest got the win. So if they can grab themselves another win here, yes, 100 Thieves isn't at the same level TSM is right now, but if you do this and do it very cleanly, it's very promising going forward.
It really is, right? And it shows that some of that promise that FlyQuest was showing earlier in this split is real, right? You know, they had a great start alongside Dignitas, and then both teams had a bit of a stumble. And now FlyQuest looking for another 2-0 week to prove that, no, that their level is that high, right? They had a little bit of a stumble, but they can compete near the top. Moving themselves to 5 wins would actually put them ahead of TSM in the standings and up, I believe, you know, right around Immortals for second, third.
Worth noting, Meteos now has the Warmog's completed, but as I said earlier, he does not have the total health pool to trigger the Warmog's heart just yet. He's at a little over 2,800, so if he can get to level 11 and buy himself another Ruby Crystal, he should have that healing to deal with some of the poke that could come out from the side of FlyQuest and the carries of Turtle and Power of Evil. You can see the comparison of the levels there. Power of Evil, the highest level in the game, just now hitting 15. And once he gets one more, that ultimate execute potential.
Look at these two right here. Level 8, level 15. If you're this guy, you do not want to be running into the other guy.
I'm pretty sure Syndra hits QR with that level difference. Stunt just dies.
You do, man. You get so much value out of each level. The additional stats that it brings means he is going to be incredibly squishy when he is that far behind as far as the levels do go. And that's one of the difficulties with Recon. When you are not going for a stone plate, when you're going for a squishier build and you get behind, you can get lit up.
Here comes Cody's son after Viper, but man, he hit him with about 6 auto attacks and the Mountain Shield fell. So not exactly a threat onto a man who has Ornn upgraded Iceborne and Ornn upgraded Sunfire. Back to what we were talking about, stacking armor items earlier on this game.
Ranged minions can come out of the jungle like that? Where'd that come from?
Oh, that's a fancy new skin. I didn't know the minions could throw feathers like that. Not a spot where you need your AD carry to be hitting that frontliner, because it's not like you're going to have any other choice in the team fight. That Ornn's going to be right up in your face, and you've got to deal with it. Cody's son needs some more items before that'll ever be the reality, but FlyQuest do not want to allow that time to scale. Power of Evil, Turtle, and Santorin all pushing up mid here. Ignar standing by with a lantern just in case 100 Thieves try to engage. Meteos engages have not been where FlyQuest, or excuse me, they've been exactly where FlyQuest wants to see them, but 100 Thieves, it was a miss in the jungle and then coming up just short there in the mid lane. And without those Sejuani ultis making the connect, it's really hard for Thieves to fight on their own terms. Viper takes the tier 2 turret in the bottom side. That's a 5-to-1 turret count now, 4,000 gold lead. Mid lane tier 2 falls now, 6-to-1 turret count. Power of Evil doing a lot of burst onto Ryoma, who pops the heal to stay alive.
I mean, it's really tough because I think a lot of the onus, you know, you mentioned Meteos, but also Ryoma, right? He's got to be poking people down. You're never going to win a straight-up 5v5 fight where you both engage at full health from this point, unless FlyQuest has numerous mistakes throughout that fight. So all of a sudden, it becomes Ryoma's job to poke people low, to be able to get them chunked out before you engage. But there's 3 big frontliners who can just stand and tank all of your damage coming out and not really worry about it. The Mountain Soul procs, Thresh, Trundle, Ornn, any of them can stand there and soak that for Syndra or for Aphelios, which makes Ryoma's job incredibly hard.
Someday just had an attempt made on his life there in the bottom lane. You heard the horn come out from Viper. They tried to make a move on there with Power of Evil collapsing, but Someday was able to get out of the way in time. So the Ornn ultimate not available now for another... It's not going to be that long, about 60 more seconds. Elder Drake spawns in a minute and a half. Baron is up. I want to see FlyQuest set up for these objectives. They have such a big advantage. This is what we were talking about, wanting to see them push that.
Yeah, FlyQuest, you know, a lot of their scaling going to be coming to fruition here, too. As the Infinity Edge is completed, Viper has the levels to actually upgrade that, so that's an even bigger buy there. as I want to see Orin upgrade. And yep, the Molten Edge comes across, whereas Cody-san doesn't even have his yet completed. And the additional AD you get on this item is worth, you know, let's say 1,000 extra gold on top. So it becomes very, very valuable.
Yeah, when you look at the gold comparison, it's very scary. Stun has to flash over the wall to get away, and although he stays alive, now you don't have to worry about some sort of a recon flash engage in the next team fight if you're FlyQuest. Elder Drake spawning in 45 seconds. Look at this. Look at the shield on Turtle. He's sitting at about 2,400 health right now, including the shield. Makes him a lot harder to burst than you would want him to be if you're 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Santorin there on the front line, looking for the opportunity to pillar Ryoma, but won't quite be able to close the distance.
I mean, he has overheal. When you have that red gun, you can also get an additional shield. That was a full Zoe Q that didn't break the shield on the carry.
That is disastrous. As the Orin Horn comes through, Meteos is thrown up into the air. They're still looking to go after Ryoma, and he will fall. Santorin takes that. And that means that FlyQuest now has a 5v4. And what is this, Mr. Azale? We've got minions in the mid lane as well, just in time. The party has arrived to the 100 Thieves base, and FlyQuest are knocking on that door. They've made their way through the mid lane inhib, and it looks like they're not concerned about Baron. They're not concerned about Elder. They got their eyes on the prize. Nexus turrets going down now. Meteos forced to run away, down to half HP. Someday on the front line doing his best to defend, to try to guard this one. Nice CC lands onto Stunt. Someday tries to get away, but he will fall. Cody-san throws out the feathers, but the damage is just not there. 2.5 items cannot deal with this FlyQuest squad. Aphelios throwing out more bullets than any one gun should have into all the 100 Thieves line. They're back into the fountain. Second Nexus turret is gone, and FlyQuest are on to the Nexus itself. Ignar throws out the hook to prevent an engage. Meteos trying to go in here once again, but the damage comes through. The stats get padded, and that should be it. The Ornn soaks a little bit of the laser just to have some fun with it. They're going fishing yet again. Cody-san with a stopwatch will buy him just an extra moment. FlyQuest, that's enough kills, man. Just put them out of their misery. It's a win for Fly.
30-minute victory for FlyQuest here over 100 Thieves. Dominating this one pretty much start to finish. Someday had a strong laning phase, but that was about it. Working for 100 Thieves. FlyQuest, I think, came into it with a very intelligent draft. Viper on a tank. We know Someday has a very strong laning phase. You know, just mitigate that, utilizing the Ornn. I think Santorin's Trundle pick really took a lot of the fangs out of this Sejuani. Couldn't get much done on the side of Meteos, and the scaling was there, the dragon stacking was there, they controlled all the neutrals. They really checked every box.
Hey, Probably said he wanted to see a good draft, and FlyQuest put together a comp that was able to do exactly what they wanted. They gave up a single death the entire game. That death was Santorin keeping Wild Turtle alive after he had pushed for a tier 2 turret in the top lane that ended up giving him his Runedanced Hurricane, which then gave him the advantages later on to be able to just win fights and threaten so hard that 100 Thieves was never comfortable in neutral territory. Honestly, the entire game, you gotta feel happy if you're FlyQuest, because there was never a moment where it seemed like, oh, this is where 100 Thieves are coming back. They had a couple moments that could have looked like that, but misexecutions, missed ultimates meant that it never happened.
And checking in on Ignar, you know, I mentioned his 7 different champions. He hadn't played Thresh, so that's 8 for 8 unique champions in different games. Pretty impressive stuff. I remember Ruin, I think it was last year, started 10 for 10. I want to see how far Ignar can take it. I don't know how many more supports he's got in the pool.
Well, he was landing those hooks like crazy. You guys stick around after the break. We are going to come back. Avali's got an interview with the 2 newest members of FlyQuest in PoE and Ignar. Don't you go anywhere. You don't want to miss it.
Maybe we'll find out how many champs he's got.
Cross your fingers.